Good morning, everybody. I'm Tracy, and I am excited to talk with you today about 10 simple and easy phrases to teach and empower your toddler. So I'm going to do a countdown if I can. I really do want to get this, take a few minutes to kind of get ready and allow some people who might want to join us to come on board and be a part of this discussion, because I think it's going to be really encouraging and really helpful to those of you with kids who are preschoolers or in the toddler range. So I'm going to take a few minutes here to try to get my countdown clock working. I'm not sure how to do that exactly. Whoa, I don't want 10 minutes. Goodness gracious. So bear with me as I play around with this and try to figure out how I want to do this. That may not work today. We may just talk here for the first minute or two. So hang in there with me. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Well, now we're counting down these seconds. I don't know why. I've got this really cool thing, Ecamm, on my computer. And it's really great, but it's also something I don't fully understand yet. So I'm going to try to see if I can figure out how to do this and to do it right. So talk amongst yourselves. Oh goodness, I'm showing my age. When I make SNL references, they're not going to be to the current SNL episodes. They're going to be from the 80s and 90s, and it's going to be embarrassing. See, oh well, you know what? We'll work on it another time. Maybe I'll figure that out next week, because I have waited at least 2 minutes, and so I apologize. I wish that I could have figured that out so that people who are watching this later could easily skip to the beginning of this, but maybe next time. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to, looky there. Isn't that cool? Aren't these bottom thirds really, really neat? I'm still playing around with it. It's really fascinating, all the cool stuff that can, no, that doesn't work. All the cool stuff that you can do on these computers now. Ooh, isn't that nice? My little logo down there. If you cannot hear me, please say something, and I'll try to work on my sound, because again, this is another aspect of something new that I'm trying. I'm trying a new mic because it was very low. My volume was low yesterday or last week when I was talking. So if you can't hear me and you need me to do something, I'll try to do that, but I've got a new mic, so maybe this will work great. So my question for you is, what do you think drives preschooler frustrations? If you're a parent, either new or seasoned, we'll call it seasoned parents, what do you think it is that drives your preschooler or toddler's frustrations? And I know that that idea is not foreign to you, because it doesn't take long with a toddler to realize that they are easily frustrated and aggravated, and that there's something driving that. There's usually some common denominators, and if you have identified some of those, share them with me and the group, whoever's going to be watching, either live or later on today, because I'm sure they're going to appreciate what, oh, thanks, Lauren. You just chimed in. Thank you. I'm glad it sounds good. So yeah, share with others what you think drives your own particular kids' frustrations, because I think that the collective wisdom is going to help all of us. For most of you know that I have a 3-year-old, and I've I thought I was out of the preschool years. I thought I was done with all of that, but we were blessed with a little one 3 years ago, and I'd been out of the preschool years for 9. So we have a 14-year-old and a 11-year-old, and now a 3-year-old. So I was considerably out of practice, very much out of practice in terms of dealing with babies and toddlers and diapers and feeding and all of those things that come with it. So, yeah, I'm having to relearn a lot of things, but I've also had the advantage of experience with two kids, two very different kids, a girl and a boy, and what we worked through, and having the hindsight advantage, because when you look back on things, you can see with greater clarity, rather than when you're in the trenches and you're exhausted, sleep deprived, probably nutritionally deprived, all kinds of things that are going against you in thinking clearly and recognizing things in the moment. So I want to try to help you if you do have kids that are in this age range. So I want to dive right in, and I want to tell you why this conversation even came up in terms of why I wanted to talk about this, because it was one evening we were driving, and I had the kids to myself. So I had all three kids in the car with me, and my 3-year-old was very cranky. She was falling apart, and none of us could figure out why. We couldn't figure out what she wanted. And so Thomas, my 11-year-old, was in the back seat with her, and he started to basically give her everything he could to calm her down or to figure out what she needed. And nothing was working. She didn't want any food. She wasn't looking for a toy. She wasn't on her her pacifier. And finally, she kept talking. She was mumbling something. She was just, and none of us could figure out what she was saying. And so finally I said to Thomas, I said, you're going to have to give her words. Because he kept asking her, do you want this? Do you want that? And he was expecting her to be able to answer with the word or item or what she was needing, and she couldn't because she didn't have the vocabulary, obviously. And I said, you're going to have to give her words. And right then, as if on cue, she says, and she's crying this and yelling this, give me words. And at that point, we had all been stressed, and we were like on edge, and we were like, I'm tired of the screaming. And the moment she yelled that out, we just started laughing, all of us, because first of all, it was a great example of the parroting that these kids do, the repetition or the copying of what they hear. So it was so cute, and poor thing, she didn't understand that. I was suggesting something abstract rather than something concrete that she could receive. But it was a really funny, kind of one of those aha moments of, yeah, we really do have to feed our kids words. We have to empower them and give them the vocabulary that they need to express their emotions, to express their needs, to express all these conflicting things that they're encountering, because they need it. They're emotional beings, and they're responding to us and this whole world around them, and they really want to be able to interact, and they want to be able to navigate it successfully. And so sometimes we are going to have to give them words. And so that's what today I want to talk about. I want to dive right in because I think these 10 easy phrases are goodness, some of them will seem obvious, and you'll be like, well, duh, of course you have to teach them that. But I don't, I bring them up and I put them on this list because I want to say even the obvious ones are very powerful, very helpful, and effective. So let's dive right in. Let's see, the first one that I think that is very important to teach our toddlers, and let me back up and say these are words that you can teach even I would say starting at 12 months. Some kids develop their, speech skills and vocabulary skills, of course, at different rates. So I'm not saying that your 1-year-old should be able to say these things. This is a range of 12 to, 36 months that you should be able to incorporate and teach these phrases to your little ones. But you would be surprised at how early they can adopt some of these phrases. The first one is going to be help, please. So for example, when we have our toddlers, we're really used to doing everything ourselves for them. But as they get older and as they want to start doing things for themselves, they're going to want to try. They're going to want us to be patient and give them a chance to try to, put their pants on. That's been a big one in the last year for my little girl. She wants to be able to put her pants on herself, and obviously I'm always in a hurry. I feel like I'm always late, so I struggle letting her do that because it's easier for me just to do it for her. But I have to slow down and let her try these things, even when I know she's not exactly going to be successful. So I have to, first of all, be patient and let her try something. But then when I see that frustration mounting, I start to feed her the words, "Do you need help?" Then I say to her, "Tell me, help please." So I make her repeat it after me. And so in that moment, I'm giving her the words. I'm coaching her on a context in which to use it. And then I am responding with the help that she needs immediately afterward. So this obviously, again, this seems obvious, but this is the way we give them the words. And it's important, or I have found really important, to give them the words in that context. Obviously, with these little ones, it's all about the here and the now and what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what I'm doing. So we have to pick these phrases and incorporate them at a moment they're immediately applicable. And then the next key is we actually have to respond with what that request or what that phrase is. So for example, with help please, I'm teaching her to use it at a time that I see she needs help. Even though she's trying and I'm being patient, trying to let her do something on her own, I see that she needs help, and then I offer her the phrase, and then I offer the help, which is how we empower them, because they see that the words hold power. They see that this phrase is effective and is going to get them what they want. So that's really an important aspect of teaching them these phrases. The second phrase, I wish I could put these up on the screen. I haven't prepared them, so I'm just going to hold up my fingers. First one was help please. Second one is going to be let's share. So when kids are arguing over toys, which they're going to do a lot, it's easy for the kids to learn that word mine or my turn, but I feel like let's share is better. And the reason why is this phrase does not assume one person's claim to a toy or an activity. I feel like it's open-ended and allows for cooperation. And, sure, that toy, when you say let's share, that toy may not immediately go to the one asking. But that's okay, because we have taught our child to express their desire, their expectation, without pressure to the other child for immediate compliance. So, I'm seeing this a lot as I do this little part-time job. I've added a little job that I do on 2 days a week, which is helping my daughter's preschool class. And these things, all of this that I'm seeing or that I noticed with Charlie is really being confirmed in what I see in this class. It's important because at this age, in the preschool years, especially like age 2 and 3, they really do want to be able to make their own decision. They really do want to be given the chance to say, yeah, I do want to share. I'm going to be a good friend and I want to share this with you. But if we rush it, if we force it, we're not giving them the chance to hear the request, let's share, and then respond out of their own heart, out of their own desire, rather than out of compliance. So they won't always choose to share, and sometimes we then have to back it up with a little more of a fair intervention and refereeing, so to speak. But I really do think it's great to allow the kids the chance to express their wish and have the other child take a moment to actually ponder that and decide for themselves, because you will be surprised how many times they actually do agree to share, and that kid will turn it over, and everybody's really, really happy at that moment because the child who said and asked for a chance to play with a toy, they got the opportunity they wanted, and then the child who had it and gave it up for their friend is feeling a great sense of accomplishment and capability and confidence because they did something that was right and fair and was being a good friend. So I think that's how we're seeing this empower them. The third phrase is your turn. So this kind of is the opposite side of that coin, is when we teach them to ask for a turn to share, we also can teach them the phrase of, I'm giving this to you, this is your turn. And so I'm not going to elaborate on that too much, but it's, 2 words, very easy. And again, when I'm in this preschool class helping with these toddlers, when I can, I wouldn't say I do this every time, when I can, I coach them through that moment. So I say to child A, you need to ask and say, let's share, rather than my turn. And then to the other child, when they're willing to give up that toy to their friend, I coach them and I say, now you say your turn. And it is really, really exciting to see these kids communicating with so much cooperation. So moving on, we're going to go to the fourth one. The fourth phrase is, I'm upset. Now, this phrase does seem kind of obvious. We're going to know when they're upset, but they need to be able to say those words because it's going to have multiple applications. Lots of things can upset our little ones. The wrong food, scratchy clothes, hurting ears, like when their ears are hurting, like with an infection or something, when their shoes are too tight, where they're missing a toy or lovey, whatever. We as parents sometimes get surprised by these sudden outbursts that seem to come out of nowhere, but often they really don't. And our reaction and frustration when we think it's coming out of nowhere is only going to make the situation really worse for the child because the last thing they need is us angry at them because they're upset about something. So what we need to teach them is to just say, I'm upset. And this helps them express their feelings, and then it helps us so that we're not so quick to just be, here he goes again, another tantrum or another outburst that I don't understand. If they can say to me or to you, I'm upset, we are immediately going to have a different reaction, I believe. I know I have a different reaction when I hear that because I'm immediately prompted to think, oh, well, what is it? What is the problem? And then go from there to help deal with that. The fifth phrase is, that hurts. Again, seems like another obvious phrase, but it's also applicable in lots of circumstances. Rough play, when you're combing tangled hair. My Charlie says that all the time to me. That hurts. Snaps that pinch, like those snaps with their seat belts. Sometimes those top snaps can actually get their skin in them. All kinds of ways in which kids can be hurt and need to tell us because we don't always see. We only hear the crying, the screaming, the tantrum, so to speak. So teaching them those phrases, that hurts, gives them those words to help us figure out, okay, what can we do to take away this discomfort? The next one, number 6, is please stop. Now, this is a really big one, and I'll just spend a little bit more time on this one because I think it's so important. Giving kids a voice and expressing what they do and do not like is critical, especially in a stage where with preschoolers and toddlers, their personal boundaries are violated constantly. Like when we pick up little ones without without them knowing us or being as familiar with us as we are with them, we run the risk of violating a personal boundary. They may not want to be held by your pastor's wife. I use that as an example because that's who I am. I'm a wife of a pastor, and my friends with their children, I'm constantly going and scooping them up and hugging on them and everything. But some kids really don't like that. They don't want that. They don't invite it, but we just take it upon ourselves, to just kind of go in there and love on them. And I'm not debating whether that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that we as a culture often do, violate our children's boundaries, and it happens with their friends too, constantly. I mean, you know that there's a lot of smacking and hitting and pushing and shoving and kicking and everything that happens in this stage. A great phrase to teach them and empower them is please stop. Now, eventually they might use this against us in a very perfect context in which we can't stop. There are many times that we're going to have to impose upon our children for their safety. So when I'm holding my daughter's hand and we're in a parking lot, she's quick to try to rip it out because she wants to be free. She wants to run ahead of me, and I will not do it. I will not let her go. And she will tell me, please stop. And I will have to say absolutely, without any wavering, without any question, no, you are holding my hand. We are in a parking lot. There's cars. They can't see you. You will hold my hand or I will carry you. So there are times when they're going to use this, and we will obviously for safety reasons have to not do what they're asking. But the reason this is a good phrase to teach them is they need to be able to express when they are not comfortable in a situation. So, and it is empowering. And the important thing is, as we're teaching them, please stop, we actually have to back it up with that action. So, let me give you an example of how I used this or taught this with Charlie. We love to tickle and snuggle and play games, especially whenever we're just laying around watching TV or whatever. And I had a friend who shared with me that as an adult, she does not tickle her children. She doesn't do anything like that. And the reason being was when she was young and, a babysitter would come and watch her. The babysitter would tickle her to the point of pain and discomfort, but she did not feel empowered to stop it or have the words to stop it or tell her that I don't like that. So to this day, she's not comfortable, doing anything like that with her child, even in a loving and fun way. So it was really, it impacted her. It impacted her enormously that she couldn't stop something that was intended to be fun and loving. So we teach them. I taught Charlie even in the context of tickling. I could tell when I would tickle her little tummy, and then when I could tell she was having enough, I would say, "Do you want me to stop?" And she would say, and she would nod. I'd say, "Say please stop," and she would say it, and I would stop immediately. If I knew she could say the words, then I would ask her to say it, and then I would do it. To me, it was very important to back up what I'm teaching her in that moment and show that these words are powerful, they work, and that we will respect them when it's not an issue of safety or security. So the important thing is when we teach them, please stop, we actually have to show and respect that request of them. So we're going to move on because I'm trying not to take too long on today. And just so you know, I will put all of these out on a blog post in the next couple of days because I elaborate on these a little bit more in my writing, but I'm trying to not talk too long today because I know you guys have stuff to do. The seventh phrase, I had to look. The seventh phrase is time out. This is great for kids, but it's also great for parents, and it's great for toys. And I know that not everybody likes time out, but it's a good way to basically put pause in a situation and create some space to collect ourselves, to be separated from an activity that we need to be separated from. But the point in teaching them to say time out is that surprisingly, kids will often see the benefit of a timeout and then they will want it and engage in it voluntarily. I know you think I'm crazy. I'm not making this up. We've had kids that will actually ask for a timeout. And at that point, I'm like, absolutely, yes, go to timeout. This is a place for them to hit that reset button. It's a place for them to sometimes get their crying out or just be frustrated, or sometimes to get away from all of the noise, all of the stimulation that might be driving their frustration higher and further. So when they can say time out, it's a very powerful thing because it gives them the words to say that I need a break. And so that's something great. I think it's going to be a game changer for some of your kids when they can say that and experience that break that they need. The eighth one, put my third finger up there. The eighth one is I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Toddlers not only need to hear this from us and from others when they have been hurt or injured, but they also need to be taught how to say it back. So again, as they get older and they realize that they sometimes do things either accidentally or intentionally, either way, that will hurt other people, they need to be able to articulate that they're truly sorry, that they did not intend to inflict pain on someone. And it sets their heart at rest when they can say that. So for another example, like just with my kids, I sometimes have my older daughter buckle my little Charlie into her car seat. And if Charlie's not wanting to go, she's just being, she didn't want to stop playing or whatever was going on. Sometimes she will just lash out at my 14-year-old, and many, many times she's just walloped her in the face. And at which point it hurts very badly, and Parker is, reeling from that pain, and she's obviously not sure what to say or what to do, but because Charlie knows the words "I'm sorry," she feels that conflict, like, oh, I hurt her and I really didn't mean to. Because you can see it on their face. As they get older, you can often see with toddlers that emotion of, ooh, and now you're crying, I did this, you're crying, you're upset, I feel awful and I don't know what to do about it. When we teach them the words, I'm sorry, it's helpful and it gives them the power to express those words, those feelings. And it also helps stave off that kind of impulse from the recipient to want to retaliate. Granted, we will always have those instances where you do need to address some impulses and things like that, but it's very, very helpful to give them these two words to make it right. Anytime that they have done something wrong and you see it in their face, you see it in their reaction, that they recognize they crossed a line, they need to have the words to say, I'm sorry, I see where I did something wrong. It really does free them, and that's what you want to do. You want to be able to free them and empower them and give them that confidence that they can work through their error. So I'm sorry is a really big one. I forgive you. Granted, that's 3 words, not 2, but they can squeak it out as they get older. I would say forgive you is more like in the 36-month age range of when they might be able to actually say those words. But it's a good one to teach. It's very important because they need to be able to respond to an apology with that correct heart that expresses that I'm not going to hold this against you, that I'm no longer mad at you, that I'm not going to retaliate for what you've done. I forgive you. So this is really great in preschool. We got to do this a lot when your kids are on play dates and in groups. We have to teach the I'm sorry and I forgive you response, because it's the best way to help them reconcile and deal with their conflict. So we're just laying a foundation, okay? And then the last phrase is number 10 is I'm hungry or I'm thirsty. Now these are obvious ones. I hesitated to even put them on this list, but they are very important, because how many times are we in the store and our kids start falling apart? We think that they're, just wanting something off the shelves or whatever. But truth of the matter is, we've probably been in the store much longer than we realize. They're stuck sitting there just looking around. They don't get to do a whole lot. And then they realize their stomach is gnawing and they want something to eat. And if they don't know the words, I'm thirsty or I'm hungry, then we're stuck playing 20 questions. What is wrong? What is the problem? So I'm teaching them to just convey something simple like, I'm thirsty, I need something to drink. Then that can definitely curb any outbursts, especially those nasty public ones that we would like to avoid. So that's my list of 10. If you have any that you would add to that, like 2-word phrases that you have found helpful with your kids, I would love to have you share them, because I know that these are probably just the tip of the iceberg. There's probably many of them that we could all benefit from and incorporate to teach our kids. And the important thing is, we are helping build confidence with them. This is a part of building and boosting their not just their self-esteem, but their confidence that they can interact with with the people in their environment, with these situations that can be easily and quickly volatile just from the emotions and the activity and the energy of this age. It's really empowering to give them some phrases that they can use to navigate those situations and to feel capable, because that's what we want to do. We want to raise them to be capable and confident kids. So that's one of the many things that I think would be helpful to all of us to practice. And I know that we're trying it with Charlie, and it's really funny because when you talk to them a lot, you teach them words, they will talk back. They will have conversations with you, and I don't say that like in a talk back disrespect way. I mean, they will shock you at what they are able to articulate at an early age when you coach them and you give them the right words in the right context, and you show that they have power and effect. So I encourage you to use these, and I'd love to hear what your results have been. If you do try them, let me know. Let me know which ones are particularly helpful, and if you've got some great response from them. So the last thing I want to just put on here is, of course, I'll try to be here every Wednesday at 10:30 in the morning. So if you can, put your calendars or just hop on at 10:30 on Wednesdays, and I'll try to be here with some new content and new things to discuss and share with you. If you are not a subscriber to crowningwisdom.com, I would love for you to subscribe to my blog, to my site, because I'm trying to offer lots of content on different topics and subjects and aspects of our lives. It's not just parenting. It's about finances. It's about relationships. It's about friendships, marriage. So we talk about a lot of aspects of our lives through the lens of wisdom and where to find wisdom in those areas. So also have the book, have Crowning Wisdom as a book that is available. Whoops, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this. Is available on Amazon.com and or my website. So I hope you subscribe and join in the conversation. And I hope to see you back next Wednesday. Hope you guys have a great week. See you then.